necessarily those of the staff or management of Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Corporation.
We're back. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas, and Troy Warren, Veterans in Politics. Folks, I just want to remind everybody that next week, September 17th, at Herbs and Ends, or why am I always messing that up?
Yeah, that and the
Ensign and Herbs and
that address is pretty challenging.
I heard you do the address last time.
Yeah, that was pretty good, wasn't it?
In Lake Las Vegas, we're going to have the special election for the Henderson Justice of the Peace. We advise everybody to come down and take a look at these 6 candidates, and I hope that all residents of Henderson, especially, who's actually going to be voting for that seat, to come on down and look and see these candidates' qualifications and hear how they address questions. And I have a cop, a former retired lieutenant from North Las Vegas PD on the panel, Air Force, right? And then I have the president of the Banditos, Mike Edwards, who's a former Marine, well, once a Marine, always a Marine,
right,
on the panel. And one of the panel members called me up, who's never been on the panel before, and said, "Hey, Steve, I don't think the Banditos president on your panel is a good idea." And I'm like, "Hey, Mike, shut your mouth, because you just started this panel, and that president's been on several panels, and there's no problem. And stop judging people."
He's a Marine.
I know, he's a Marine. I mean, why people judge? Because he's president of Banditos?
I mean, I've been around the guy. I like the guy.
You know something? I went to the police officers' endorsement interviews, right? And I remember this when I was running for, what's that race? Assembly 13.
Assembly 13.
And
how soon we forget.
I forget. It was a long time ago now. And it was early staging, and they asked me, they go, "Who endorsed you?" I said, "Well, a lot of people said they were going to endorse me, this person, that person, that person." I said, "We still early." They go, "Who actually endorsed you?" I said, "The Banditos Las Vegas chapter." And they're like, "The Banditos." You should have seen their eyes, all cops, right? Correction officers and the Banditos. And I'm like, could any of you tell me the last time the Banditos Motorcycle Club did anything against the law? Raise your hand. I said, could any of you tell me the last time the Banditos did anything? Nobody could tell me anything. I said, why are you judging? I said, is that the same way you profile people when you pull up against a car? And they're all just...
Okay, so for full disclosure, let's get real clear. The Banditos, the Hells Angels, the Mongols, Vagos, you name it, Devil's Disciples. I mean, they've...
Oh, you know them all, huh? Devil's Disciples?
Bro, I've had a run-in with them.
Uh-huh.
And, they created that image.
Yeah.
You know, and I give it up to Mike for attempting to
He's changed the image.
To change
for his club.
For his club. Because let's get real. There's still are there a lot of good guys in the Hells Angels and all those? Absolutely there is. Mm-hmm. But they were based on not doing such nice things to people and to different things and I mean killing and bombing.
But let's take the Banditos out of that equation. I know the Mongols. I know the Mongols.
I know we can't now, but what I'm
Angels,
saying is they've created that image, and for that image to go away overnight, hey, I'm a biker. I wore colors in the day.
Mike has taken the Las Vegas chapter into a different era.
Yes, he has, and kudos for him for doing that.
And they have been doing a lot of charity work, and they have joined forces with the Marine Writers.
Mm-hmm.
So,
being a Marine, I kind of seem to be a marriage, being he's the president.
Yeah, so I know all those guys, and those are some good guys. If I make a call and I need some assistance, they're right there. Yeah. Not like some people, I can't do it, this or that. They're right there. So I like those guys. There's 200-300 of them.
Yeah, well, dude, I ride with a ton of them all the time when I go on bike. When we do events,
and they're very loyal.
Yeah,
they're
very loyal.
And if they say they're gonna show up, guess what? They show up. And matter of fact, there was a few Bandito members. They were passing out gift baskets for my campaign.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Believe that.
Good for them.
So they said, "Do you mind how we dress?" I'm like, "No. You dress the way you want to dress. If you want to wear your colors, that's fine. I have no problem with that. I'm not going to judge you because you're wearing colors."
Absolutely.
That's just me. Jim would probably get scared. They come knocking on his door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, actually, I wasn't scared at the time. The Marine Corps League riders rode up beside me, though. That was interesting. Remember when I told you about that?
Yeah.
The sticker on your car?
Yeah, it's like a week after. It's a week after I just bought the Mercedes.
Still had the Marine sticker.
I still had the Marine sticker
and I still
on
had it on there, so I was making a right, and all of a sudden I hear all this rumbling, and I'm like, look in my rearview mirror, and there's the Marine Corps League riders, and I'm like, oh, okay. So one pulls up next to me, and he just taps my window, and I roll it down. And he goes, "How you doing this afternoon?" I said, "Pretty good." He goes, "Nice sticker." Wow. And I was like, "Yeah, I just haven't had time to take it off yet."
Oh, he knew you weren't?
Yeah.
He knew you weren't a Marine.
It was because...
they recognized my car.
Yeah, and who was right next to it? Guess who was in the group?
Was Ghost.
Travis Barrick.
They recognized my car.
Yeah. so
you ain't Steve Sanson.
Yeah, I rolled down the window. I was just happy the whole time I had your car. I never got in any trouble. Remember?
See that?
Andre Haynes swore I was going to get pulled over every day. He said, "You're driving Steve's car, you're going to get pulled over every day." But I didn't.
Nobody have any rants?
No,
well,
I don't.
Actually, I do. A little pissed off at the Libertarian Party right now. You know I switched.
Oh, the immigration.
Whoa. You switched to Libertarian.
Right, I switched to Libertarian Party.
Yeah.
And, I was running until all the stuff happened with my family, and I had to suspend my campaign. I was running. Well, Gary Johnson popped off the other day and got all pissed off about calling them illegal aliens and illegal immigrants and stuff like that. So I posted a thing on there. Well, the leadership decided to jump in. My views on immigration are racist based on hatred.
Your views.
My views.
Uh-huh.
So I pretty much told him to fuck off.
Ooh.
Yeah,
what do you
I'm
say?
done because I told him, I said, since my name's still on the ballot, I haven't pulled my name off the ballot.
Right. You told that to Gary Johnson?
No. Told that. You ought to go on Facebook, read the post. I put it out there for everybody
to see. You told that to Brett Pajunas?
No. Jason Smith and Jason Weinman.
Oh, Smith and, okay.
And I said, it's good to know that first of all, they need to get it straight. I'm a bigot, okay? I hate everybody.
I know.
I hate everybody equally.
I know.
Let's get it clear.
That's good. You balance out.
Balance out.
That's right.
But you know what? To sit there and call, and then Jason got a little disrespectful with my wife, so he's probably going to get a throat punch next time I see him. Anyways, I told him, I says, I can rectify this because come November 9th, I'm going back to independent. You know what? I'm going to do things the way I do things.
Once you
my
come
way.
to the Republican Party and be
I told him to
radical like me and Jim.
I told him to go pound sand in 2001 when Bush signed the Patriot Act into law. I was done. So, but yeah, that's my rant. Yeah, the Libertarian Party, dude, I'm telling you, I have never been so disillusioned in my life. And yes, I said that out loud.
Okay, well, tell us how you really feel.
You need to start. Quit holding back, Troy. Really.
Yeah, you know.
So, anyways, I got that off my chest.
Take the handcuffs off, Troy Warren.
I'm good.
Well, folks, we're going to have Harvey Gruber, who's a candidate for Henderson Justice Peace Department 1, and then we're going to have John Piro, who's a candidate for Nevada State Assembly District Number 4. And let's take a commercial break.
Sounds good.
All right, this is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas, Troy Warren, Veterans in Politics. We're going to come back with Harvey Gruber, candidate for Henderson Justice Peace Department 1.
Hi, this is Annette Levy. Corruption destroys communities. Did you know Nevada was rated the 5th most corrupt state in the nation? I want to change that. I'm running for District Court Judge in Department 20. Let's work together to raise the bar in Nevada. Call me at 702-499-7278 or look me up on my website, electanet.com. Thanks.
My name is Heidi Hanus, and I'm a marriage and family therapist. I recently opened my own practice under the name of Faith Individual and Family Counseling in the area of Summerlin. I have been practicing family therapy for 14 years, and I work well with individuals, children, teens, couples, and most of all, families. I have experience in a variety of areas, which include family conflict, communication issues, grief, anxiety, depression, anger issues, addiction, adjustment to life changes, trauma, and most forms of mood disorder. The agency work I have done has given me the experience to work with all levels of issues from severe to mild. I believe in change and positive outcome. If you are interested to begin change, you can reach me at 702-370-4244 or HANUSA@cs.com. Thank you.
We're back, folks. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas, and Troy Warren, Veterans in Politics. We have Harvey Gruber, Hope I said that right. Is that correct?
That's correct, Harvey Gruber.
He's a candidate for Henderson Justice of the Peace in the special election, Department number 1. This is a seat that it started out with Diana Hampton, who was a municipal court judge for the city of Henderson, who passed away, unfortunately. And I believe it was Judge Burr, who's a Henderson Justice of the Peace, retired out of the Henderson Justice of the Peace after many years and decided to go to the municipal court bench, leaving a vacancy in Henderson Justice of the Peace. And therefore, it was too late for the city council to appoint anybody, and it was too late to run a primary. So there's 6 candidates that are in this race, and they're all going to go to the general election. And November 8th, one of them is going to be the victor.
That's right. Most votes win.
And Harvey Gruber wants to be that victor.
I do.
Mr. Gruber, could you tell us about yourself?
Sure. I've lived in Henderson, Nevada since 96. I've been on Henderson in my own office since 1998. We have a small firm, 3 of us, Mayfield, Gruber, and Sheets. We started off as Mayfield, Turco, and Gruber. I primarily practice in criminal defense work.
Okay.
I also do family law. I've done some personal injury. In the course of my 19 years as an attorney in Henderson, I've easily done every case in front of that Henderson Justice Court.
Oh,
every
wow.
kind of case, whether it's TPO, landlord-tenant, civil matters, every kind of case in front of that Henderson Justice Court that I would see as a judge, I've done.
You know, the city of Henderson is one of those tight-knit
Yeah.
communities, and if and when you do get elected to the position of Justice of Peace, they usually stay there a while, like for several elections until they retire out. Well, how are you qualified for that? I know you mentioned a little bit about the different cases of law that you practice within your law firm, but what makes you qualified to sit on that bench?
Other than my experience, my length of experience, I'm easily the busiest private attorney in that building. I'm in that building every day. I've seen the ins and outs, how it
We're
runs.
talking about the
Henderson Justice Facility.
Court. Okay.
I'm in there every day. Whether it's on time or late, but I'm in there.
Well, you're there.
On every kind of case. That I think gives me a perspective, as opposed to some of my other candidates, some of the other candidates in the race who aren't in there at all, if at all, or very rarely. In the 19 years of doing this, I've reached out, I've helped a lot of people.
Okay.
And I think I can do that better as a judge now.
Okay.
I've done it really well, extremely well as an attorney. I'd like to do that as a judge.
Okay, I have, before Jim takes the mic, I have 2 questions for you. First question is, have you ever visited the Henderson Detention Center? Because as a Justice of the Peace, you might have to lock some folks up. Have you ever visited the Henderson Detention Center? And although I did try to get a visit down there legally, but they wouldn't let me. I visited the Las Vegas City Jail. I'll visit the Clark County Detention Center. I mean, on my own free will, is what I'm saying, and not forcefully. But the Henderson Detention Center wouldn't allow me in there for some apparent reason, and I tried to get in there, and then I just gave up on it. But have you ever visited the Henderson Detention Center, and tell us a little bit about what Henderson Justice of the Peace does?
Whether I visited the detention center on a tour, no. I visited clients in the detention center. I visited them. They do 2 ways for attorneys to see clients. One's a video, which is very in the lobby there, but also when you do an in-person, they call it a contact when it's not really contact. You go through the back and through the holding areas, and you're put in a room. So in that respect, that's where I've done the visiting, which I find interesting. Most places, most jails that you visit, when you're in a room with the defendant, your client, you have the button to push to get out. In Henderson Detention Center, they have the button to let me out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they're in one room with the button to push to get the officer back, and I'm in the other room behind glass, and I can pass papers along, and I'm looking around for the button. The first time I was there, I was going, there's no button. I'm here for as long as he wants me to sit here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I found that very interesting. I've never seen that before in any jail.
Would you want to change
I think that would make a lot more sense, is to allow when the attorney's done to hit the buzzer, the alarm, wherever that button goes to control it, to allow guys to let them know, okay, the visit's done. I mean, 2 years into my practice, I went to visit a client in CCDC. I got there about 4 o'clock. Visiting hours are right around 4:30 to end. Now they're 3:30. At the time, they were 4:30. They had a shift change and forgot about me and my client. We were in there for 4 hours in a contact room.
Oh, wow.
4 hours in a contact room. It was a Friday night. My now wife, girlfriend, was like wondering whether we had a date that night. It was interesting, but 4 hours, and my client's kind of after 2 hours, and we're just hitting that
I
button.
heard a lot about those rooms for CCDC.
We're sitting in there, and we're kind of talking in about 2.5 hours, and he starts laughing at me. He goes, "How's it feel, counselor?" The next morning, I got a call from CCDC, very apologetic, and took care of everything. But it was an interesting experience. So that's my visitation. I haven't actually taken tours, but and I have been in CCDC, not voluntarily, for a length of time. What a Henderson Justice of the Peace does.
You said not voluntarily for a little?
Well, those 4 hours, I wasn't there voluntarily.
Oh, okay.
I was held against my will.
All right.
What a Henderson Justice of the Peace does. One, you have a criminal calendar. So you hear preliminary hearings on all felonies and gross misdemeanors, and you listen to misdemeanor trials. No juries. On the civil matter, you hear small claims. They call it small claims, but cases up to $10,000.
Right.
And then you hear landlord-tenant, and you hear temporary protective orders.
Are they moving it up to 15, I heard?
They keep on moving it. When I first started, it was 5.
Yeah.
And then it was up to 75. Now it's 10. So they could be going to 15. Just to load in the load on district court. Yeah, they don't want that. But that's what a Henderson Justice of the Peace would hear.
Okay.
And there's some traffic stuff, some tickets that NHP rates.
And evictions.
And evictions, landlord-tenants.
Yeah.
Yep.
So my first question is maybe kind of an unfair question, but I wanted to ask it anyway. A couple weeks ago we had Judge Marshall on here, and I found it astounding the of community involvement that Judge Marshall had, and a lot of the alternative sentencing programs and stuff she was either a part of or she actually got started. So I know this would be your first time sitting on the bench, but if you were elected judge, what are some of your passions? What would you like to see as far as like alternative sentencing programs that maybe you and your colleagues could start? Or is that something you're even in favor of?
No, there are some that I'm totally in favor of. It's interesting that you have Las Vegas Municipal Court has a Veterans Court, has a drug court program.
Right.
So does Las Vegas Justice Court. Henderson Municipal Court has a Veterans Court program and a drug court program. Henderson Justice Court doesn't have either. They farm theirs out to the other departments. I've had clients who were in Veterans Court up in Henderson Muni that started in Henderson Justice, and because they were veterans, went up to Henderson Muni. Same with, went from Henderson Justice to Las Vegas Muni due to address locations. Same with the drug court issue. I've had people, because they're doing Judge Hedger's drug court program, which is a great program, but there's nothing down in Henderson Justice Court. So, yeah, unfortunately for us in the special election, we have to finish out Judge Burr's term. So that's only 2 years. Okay. And then we have to run again for the full 6-year term. I don't know how much can get done in 2 years because you have to apply for all those grants and get funding. But those are the things that I would like to see happen in Henderson Justice Court. And whether it's me or somebody else, I prefer it be me.
Okay.
And that's not an unfair question.
And well, I just thought the reason why I said that is because I had brought it up to somebody not on the show, and they were like, well, it's kind of hard to compare me to Judge Marshall. Judge Marshall on your show was very honest and said that it took her a while to grow into that job. So why I was saying it might be kind of unfair if this is your first time being elected, obviously, you would just be able to get these things started.
And in the 2 years, I don't know how easy it is. I don't know how long it's going to take to get those things done. Okay. And that's the situation.
All right. So one of the things you said in your opening about your qualifications, you said that you wanted to be able to help out or help people. I'd like to give you a chance to clarify that, because you being a defense attorney, like, help in what way? Like, butter it up, or like clarify that for me, please.
Okay. Help in what way? Right now, I volunteer for the state bar.
Okay.
I sit on the Southern Nevada disciplinary panel.
I love that panel.
It's hard to change course. Very hard.
I like
very
to be
easy.
a part of that panel.
And you can as a lay member, if you're not an attorney. You just have to apply for it, and the bar has to.
They
approve
probably
you.
kick me out.
But
Everybody be guilty if he's on that panel.
it is very hard to get rid of bad attorneys, and it's difficult. And so, when I first joined that panel, that was the second board I've joined for the bar. I found that a lot of times you're tilting at windmills. That you have people in there and that's all you can do is tilt at windmills sometimes. Look, this guy doesn't deserve to come back in. You should go out for one, or two, he doesn't deserve to come back in. The first panel that started me on this whole thing for the state bar was the Client Security Fund, where we try and give back money to people who have been wronged by attorneys, who have either been suspended or disbarred. I'm the vice chair of that panel. I'm of that committee. I've been on there for 6 years now. We sit there and we get complaints or applications from people who basically the attorney didn't do anything for their money. Now, if the attorney died, that's one thing. If the attorney got sick, it's another thing. But it's also all the disbarred and suspended attorneys that we try and make, we have to pay back this money. Because you know what? As attorneys, I don't want to be the butt of a joke. That's not right. So let's fix the profession as best we can. Can't get rid of everybody. I'd like to try and get rid of everybody. And that's what I mean by trying to help people, trying to get things done that way. Yes, I'm a defense attorney, but I follow the law.
Okay, well, I just wanted to clarify
Yeah.
that. So as a judge,
Right.
how does that help since you're already on those panels?
Well, now I'd be sitting on I'm seeing judges of different people. Instead of attorney, I'm not seeing judgment of attorneys at this point. I'd be seeing judgment of the regular citizen too.
Oh, okay. I see where you're going with that.
Because on the disciplinary panel, I just chaired a panel the other day. I'm the judge. So I've been doing that for a few years, sitting in judgment of other attorneys.
Okay.
They're fair or unfair. Talking to a lot of people, for whatever reason, there seems to be some kind of stigma that just in general, the defense attorneys are easier or softer on crime than prosecutors. Do you find that to be true? I'm sure you're going to say no, but that just seems to be a general perception. And I brought it up to prosecuting attorneys too, and they take offense at it.
I don't agree with that premise.
Yeah.
It's also not whether, as a defense attorney, I'm soft on crime. I'm not the one putting the person behind bars. It's the judge's job.
Right.
So whether a prosecutor is soft or easy on crime, or a defense attorney is, it's neither of our jobs to put that person behind bars or soft on criminals. I present an argument. That's all I can do. That's all I do. I present it to a judge, and if the judge agrees with me, great. If the judge doesn't agree with me, so be it. Go live to fight another day.
Mr. Gruber, how do you stand out from your from the other five candidates that are in this race with you? How do you stand out? What makes you glow that the citizens of Henderson would say, you know what, I'm going to vote for Harvey Gruber?
Well, I found in 19 years that one of the things I'm most proud of, I get a lot of my cases from judges, from police officers, from people in the system. And based on that, they're giving me their trust with their friends and families, and I appreciate that. And I believe that's one of those things that makes me stand out a little bit more than somebody else. Again, I can't stress it enough. I'm in that courtroom every day. There are other candidates in this race that I hardly ever see, and Monday through Thursday, I'm in there all the time, and I can't tell you, I could probably count on one hand the times I've seen some of the other candidates in this race.
What makes you really want to run for this seat? I mean, you're going to be.
That was my next question.
You're going to be giving up some money, right?
Ooh, a pay cut.
It is. I'm not going up. I'm falling down.
So here you are. You're giving up some money. I'm sure you're married.
Yes.
I'm sure your wife. Is probably a
Two
little
kids.
Pissed
One in
off.
college. One in
Yeah.
sophomore in high school.
And this is probably going to take more of your time. And you're going to be scrutinized by the media, by the public.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to be a public figure now, so you are just. I mean, anybody could come after you.
Yeah.
And why do you want to do this job? What makes you want to get up every morning and put that blue or gold or black or brown robe on?
You know,
or pink in some cases.
And I wouldn't mind a pink robe. I'm good with all colors. And I hear the beige. My wife told me before I walked out, she goes, "Don't wear the beige anymore. You get it washed out." So no beige robes. But when I decided to do this, when the seat opened up, I've always said, I've been doing this for a long time, I've never run against friends or people I know. I'm not going to do that. I'm not just going to go out and put my name in and just keep on running until I get elected. That's not me.
Some have, and then they eventually win.
That's not me. I'm not doing that. When the seat opened up, I talked to my wife, and I said, look, this would be the next step for me. All right? This is the next step in my career. I want to do this. I think I'd be very, very good at it. I know I'm going to be very good at this job. And we talked about it, and, kind of talked about finances and see where we go. So we tightened the belt a little bit. We've got one in college, like I said. He's a junior at UNLV. Got a sophomore at Green Valley High School. And you know what? We'll make it work. We'll make it work. And so the compensation is secondary to the job. I want to do the job. I know I can do it well.
Well, you know what? You keep a pretty low profile because I was doing somewhat of a check on you, and I couldn't find too much. I hardly could find an image. I had to call up your law office to make sure I had the right photo because there was another person with your name, and you also practice in California, correct?
I'm licensed in California. What happened is I went to law school in California.
Right.
And after law school, sitting down, first day of law school, I meet Mr. Mayfield. Shane and I have been friends since that first day of law school. He was from here, grew up in Henderson. Right. When we got done with law school, he said, come out to Henderson. So, yes, I took the California bar. I'm licensed there. I think I've had maybe 5 cases in California.
Okay.
So
doing the same thing?
Yeah, criminal defense work. And I've done some other stuff there, but mostly criminal defense work. And so, yes, I'm licensed in California. I keep that active. I've been here most of my career's here.
Do you believe in the death penalty? I know with your position as JP, you're not going to have that to decide on, but do you believe in the death penalty?
No.
Okay. And the reason why I bring that up because it was a recent report done by the I-Team that talks about how Nevada has placed so many defendants on death row with the new district attorney at the helm, and Phil Cohn was, which is the public defender, was totally against that. So I just wanted to hear your output on that.
The easy answer is no. There are too many innocent people who we find out later didn't commit the crime. I personally don't believe a civilized society should kill people. At least its own citizens in that respect.
How about stoning them?
You know what? Wow. Eye for an eye, right? Eye for an eye. Again, it goes back to that civilized society. If we're going to be a civilized society, we find another way other than killing our citizens for what has happened. I personally believe there are too many innocent people. Too many people we've found down the road after the fact didn't do it.
Right.
And some of them unfortunately have died at the hands of the justice system, and that's just wrong. Right. That's just me. Makes me soft on crime as a defense attorney, I know.
Okay. You have a soft spot, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else have anything else for Mr. Gruber?
No, actually, you actually took my one question, so.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, it's interesting about the death penalty. I've went back and forth on that thing so many times. So I know it's a hot button issue for somebody, but I don't think it makes you soft on crime. I think that's a person. I think you said it. Just that's your belief. So
I do believe in the death penalty because I'm telling you right now. Yeah, well, here's what's real. You know what? You're a pedophile and you screw with kids. Guess what? You don't deserve to live. Period. You can kill an adult. You don't really care what you do.
You want to be
but
the
I'm
executioner.
telling you right now, yeah, for kids, absolutely. I do. That's one thing I fight for.
We should have an election, and it should be the executioner. That'd be your title. And people should vote to see who wants to be the executioner.
However, I will
State
say
of Nevada.
I did like the way you stated, your belief, and I respect that.
Well, also add one thing. If it worked, I'd probably be more for it. But it hasn't stopped violent crime one bit.
Yeah, that's true.
Mr. Gruber, could you tell the citizens of Henderson why you should be the next Henderson Justice of the Peace, and your point of contact, please.
Thank you. Again, Harvey Gruber, running for Henderson Justice Court, Department 1. I believe I am the most qualified for this position. I've been practicing law in Henderson on Water Street for 19 years now. I have handled every type of case that would come before the Henderson Justice Court. I am, safe to say, the busiest private attorney in that courthouse. Those, I believe, are my qualifications. The fact that I think our judges and police officers, by sending me their friends and colleagues, have shown their trust in me, and I believe the citizens of Henderson should do that as well.
Point of contact.
702-566-4099, 702-566-4099, gruberforjustice.com, hgruber@gruberforjustice.com.
Well, Mr. Gruber, thank you so much for coming on the program, and looking forward to see you on Saturday on the stage.
Yes, sir. I'll be there.
With 5 of your opponents.
Thank
So
you, sir.
That should be an interesting run. That's Harvey Gruber, candidate for Henderson Justice of the Peace, Department 1. And this is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas, Detroit Warren, Veterans in Politics. Folks, but don't go away. We're going to have John Piro, candidate for Nevada State Assembly, District Number 4.
Hi, this is Annette Levy. Corruption destroys communities. Did you know Nevada was rated the 5th most corrupt state in the nation? I want to change that. I'm running for District Court Judge in Department 20. Let's work together to raise the bar in Nevada. Call me at 702-499-7278 or look me up on my website, electanet.com. Thanks.
My name is Heidi Hanusen. I'm a marriage and family therapist. I recently opened my own practice under the name of Faith Individual and Family Counseling in the area of Summerlin. I have been practicing family therapy for 14 years, and I work well with individuals, children, teens, couples, and most of all, families. I have experience in a variety of areas, which include family conflict, communication issues, grief, anxiety, depression, anger issues, addiction, adjustment to life changes, trauma, and most forms of mood disorder. The agency work I have done has given me the experience to work with all levels of issues from severe to mild. I believe in change and positive outcome. If you are interested to begin change, you can reach me at 702-370-4244 or hanusa@cs.com. Thank you. Hi, I'm Heidi Hanusa, and I'm a marriage and family therapist. My clients consist of families, children, couples, and individuals that are in need of some assistance dealing with trauma, depression, anxiety, and many other life issues that you can find on my website. I accept most insurances. For additional information, such as location, hours, insurances, and experience, go to my website at Faith Individual and Family Counseling.
Folks, we are back. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas with Veterans in Politics, and we have John Piro, who's a candidate for Nevada State Assembly, District Number 4. And he's going to tell us the reason why we need to go to the voting booth and vote for Mr. Piro. Mr. Piro, how you doing today, sir?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Tell us about yourself.
I grew up here locally from the age of 6 years old, graduated high school from Durango High School in 1997, joined the military. I was a combat medic in the Army.
Well, thank you for your service.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for yours, sir.
Thank you.
When I got out of the Army, I came back here, went to college first in my family. I used the GI Bill to graduate from UNLV. Then went to law school here, another first in my family. I'm a local attorney here in town.
Okay. What kind of law you practice?
Criminal.
Pro bono work?
Well, I'm a public defender at the public defender's office, so.
Oh, you over there with Phil Cohn?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. All right. Got it.
Yeah, and I do pro bono work as well. I just
I didn't
participated.
I didn't see you at the party at the Commonwealth the other day with all the pro bono attorneys.
Yeah, because I was actually working on a pro bono case that evening. Just so you know, I between this campaign and volunteer work and my work, time is very short.
Right.
I definitely wanted to be at the Commonwealth, but so I don't know if you guys know, but we did that seal-a-thon on August 27th, which was like focused on sealing criminal records. It was a one-day, one-stop shop, and I was there from 8:30 in the morning until 6:30 in the evening.
You know, what are you talking about, the seal-a-thon thing? And it brings something to my mind. Do you believe that people that have felonies, right, should after they gave their time back and made amends to society, that they should get their voting rights back
I
and
actually
their
think
gun rights back?
I actually think that the voting rights thing should not be taken away just because you're a felon. I don't know why that is, and I don't know why we do that.
You might vote for a
as
bad president
society.
or something.
Well, plenty of people who are not felons vote wrong, as you know.
Right.
So I don't know why we're even taking that away. Do you know that Puerto Rico actually allows people who are in custody to vote in elections?
Really?
Yeah, I think it's important for us that after we point our finger at somebody and say, you know, you've done wrong and you need to serve your time, that we have a moral obligation as a society to rehabilitate that person and make sure that they become back into being a productive citizen. And I think having voting rights and a say in what your future looks like and what your country looks like would go a long way into helping people reintegrate into society.
And I'm glad, kudos for Puerto Rico for doing that, but there's one thing that's going on here within the continental United States is that veterans voting rights are being infringed. They're not known about where to go vote, the ones that are being deployed overseas. And one thing I found out today, that the Native Americans on the reservations, there's no voting booths for them to go over there and vote to as well. How would we change that?
I think we need to make voting easier for people. I don't think that we need to make it harder. So like all these voter identification laws that are being struck down where people are trying to make it harder for people to vote, I think those things are just wrong. I think voting needs to be an easy process, and I think we need to make sure that as many people as possible have a say in the process.
Okay, then how do you vet? How do you vet if you don't want ID? How do you vet me as an American citizen, or I could be from Russia and you not know, and I just get to walk in and vote? Like motor voter like they did in California?
You have your voter registration, and actually I'm just going to disagree with you, and I guess this is going to be our first disagreement of the show. Voter fraud is very small numbers, so this voter fraud thing is very scary, and it's an overblown concern. It actually happens very few times, and there's actually very few documented cases of that. So I do agree with you that there does need to be some checks, but I don't think it's as big of a problem as people are making it out to be. We have voter registration. People are registered to vote. We have their locations. We have their information. When I go walk and knock on doors, like, we have that information. I know whose door I'm going to and speaking to. I know who lives there.
However, somebody can get in my mailbox, grab my sample ballot, and go walk up and vote, because they don't ask for a picture ID. And anybody can check my stuff and make my signature, because my signature is horrible anyways. I mean, they just go on a signature.
And so then when you come to do that, we're going to know that happened, right? They're
Okay,
going to say,
then
well,
I don't
you
get
already
to vote.
voted. No.
I don't get to vote?
No, then we get to fix that.
Okay. That's just what I'm saying. It's just like, I'm a firm believer in that, so I think we're going to have to agree to disagree on that one.
Absolutely.
Well, I think the only thing that I don't quite get about the felons being able to vote, I kind of agree with the fact that once they've done their time and they've done their time and
They made amends.
They've made amends, then they do have a right to earn back their voting privileges. But to allow a felon to vote and to say that they have a right to vote for and take an active role in who represents them, I think at some point you lose that right when you become a felon, and you should have to pay some reprimand for that, shouldn't you?
Well, I mean, I guess
voting is kind of like it. For me, I equate voting almost like driving.
Privilege.
Because you commit a crime, why should you lose your right to vote? I guess that's my question to you. Like, why do you become less of a citizen? Are you less of our society?
Yes, you do have to. I do believe until you've made amends, yes, you are.
I guess
There
it's
has
kind
to
of a
be
punishment.
A punishment is what I'm saying. Yeah, I understand where
for
you're
committing
coming
that felony.
from. I think where you and I are different on is you're looking at it from the human aspect, and I respect that. But I'm looking at it is, if you do something wrong, there's got to be some kind of punishment.
Well, there is, though. I mean, you may go to prison. You may be on probation. These are things you're going to have to toe a line, like if you commit a crime. So there are punishments. I just don't know why taking a person's right to vote away would be part of that punishment.
Okay. So another question I have for you, and then we'll agree to disagree on that. So you're running for Assembly 4.
Yes, sir.
What as you walk in your district, what is the biggest concern that you are hearing from your constituents there?
A lot of concerns that people have. It's different for different areas of that district. You know that I have quite a few different areas in that district. One part of the district is rural, and right now those people are concerned with annexation of some of the parts of the rural districts and making those lots a higher density when people moved out there to live on a big plot of land, right, and have horse property.
That's a fair assessment.
So they have problems with that, and I think they're justified in that. Like, they moved out there for a reason. Other people are concerned with our school district, of course. I think any candidate you talk to, that's always going to be a big issue when you're knocking and talking on doors. And then people are just happy to know who the representative are. So a lot of people are happy that I'm just coming to the doors to talk to them.
Do you believe in the breakup of the Clark County School District?
As far as what do you mean? Like that it should be broken up into smaller districts, or what we're doing right now?
What we're doing right now.
I don't know how I feel about that, to be quite honest with you. I think it's an issue that continues to need to be looked at.
You have kids, right?
I have a stepson, but he graduated through the school system, and obviously in that district we have good schools, right? So he went to Arborview High School, which is a very good school.
Right next to me.
Yeah.
My daughter went there.
Yeah, so you know it's a very good school.
So you live close by me?
We do live pretty close to each other.
How come? Could I come over your house, get some brown sugar, bake a cake or something?
You could, if that's what you want to do. Yes, but I usually eat like paleo because I'm still trying to lose this 20 pounds that I gained in law school. So it would have to be like coconut sugar. You know,
that's fine.
All right, as long as you're okay with that.
I'm fine with that. Right. You know, I'm an island guy, so I love coconuts. So that's good. Could I hear a little bit more about your bio, because I know I cut you off midstream of it with the voting thing, but could you continue it, please?
I think I kind of got through it. I mean, I've lived here locally for a long time.
Okay, well, why you chose the profession as counsel? Well, why did you want to be
as an attorney?
Yeah,
because I wanted to be able to make a difference in people's lives, and I think as a lawyer you get a good chance to do that.
How so?
A good example of that is working at this sealing record seal-a-thon. Now, so I'll let me put in a plug. Like myself and Judge Yeager, before she was a judge, this was one of her ideas.
We endorsed Peter.
Yeah, which is a great endorsement. That was a good job. She had this idea that she wanted to create a record sealing program, and then when I came to the office, we expanded on that idea and involved the Boyd School of Law, and now there's a community service program, because where I went to law school, it's important that you do community service, so they teach free legal classes, and that is one of the most highly attended classes. Before Beta and I started this program with the students at UNLV, and there was a lot of good students that helped build this program up, if you got your case dismissed or you wanted to seal your record, there was a one piece of paper information sheet created by the DA that really didn't tell you anything, that really didn't instruct you how to do it. It's a very difficult process.
And some people don't know that they have to not only seal their records within the courthouse, they also have to seal their records with Metro. They have to seal the rest.
You have to send it to everybody.
And you have to also send it to the FBI, because the FBI could get a hold of it too.
Well, the FBI does get a hold of it through the central repository. And so we're counting on the people at the central repository to send the information of the sealing to the FBI. So we need to keep a better monitor on that, because I don't know if you guys saw that article. It was quite some time ago, but they're very behind on the record. So that agency does need some support to get accurate records.
Do you tell your folks that who you're sealing records for, once the records are actually sealed, that they could deny ever being arrested or ever being in court?
Under the statute, you can. It says it by law. But I will
some people don't know that, though.
I will tell you, though, that there's certain agencies that can look beyond the ceiling, like the Gaming Control Board, the Nursing Board, agencies like that. So
the prisons, when you're trying to go in there and visit a inmate.
I did not know that the prisons.
They go way beyond that. I know this. So, anyways, Mr. Piro, not talking about me, but what do you want to be a state assemblyman? Have you ever been to Carson City? Let's start with that.
No, I never been to Carson City.
You never went over there, lobbied on a bill? You went to Sawyer building and testify on any legislation?
I lobbied when I was in law school on a gaming regulation bill. I was in a class with Bob Fess and Richard Bryan, which is a great class, and so that was my first experience. But that was a Grant Sawyer building, so now it's like I'll be a newbie in Carson City.
So you've never been to Carson?
No, sir.
Oh boy, you need to come talk to me. I'll tell you a whole bunch of stuff. Why you want to be a state legislator?
Because I think there's a lot of changes that need to be made. I think that we can do better. And so I guess I had a problem with us being last place in education, last place in mental health care, last place in so many social services, and then leaving Carson City at the end of 2 years and saying, hey, we did a good job. I'll see you guys in 2 years. I think there's a lot of work that we need to do to make our community a better place to live, work, and raise a family. And so I wanted to be part of that change.
Okay, so let's get specific on education, because that's one of my hot buttons, because I'm a native.
Yeah.
Born and raised, graduated from El Dorado. My girls graduated from El Dorado. I want to know, one, your stance on Common Core, and two, why that stance is. So like, are you for it or against it, and then your reasons around it?
I'm neither. I think it's best if you, we need to look at and see what works, right? So right now there's people are not for it, people are, but if our kids are learning in a way that's making a difference in their lives, like if it's working for some of our kids and our test scores are improving, then let's go with it. But if it's not, then let's stop that and figure something else. Like, we need to be able to pivot and figure things out. And we also need to listen to our teachers more, the people who are actually in the classrooms with our kids, on what is effective. So as a non-teacher, I'm going to listen to the teachers, and I'm going to listen to the parents and see what's effective in educating our children. I'm not going to go up there as a non-teacher and act like I'm an expert on what we should be doing with our kids in school.
Okay, fair enough on that. So, because the reason why I asked that question is because you know, we've been bottom of the list over 20 years. So the insanity's got to stop somewhere. So I'm with you on talking with the teachers. What about getting the business community involved?
I think that's important. I also think getting the trades community involved. Just so you guys know, I visited the sheet metal workers, and they do great programs, and they teach a lot of great things, because college isn't going to be for everybody, you know?
Amen.
And so
Finally.
we do need to work on vocational programs that our kids can, when they leave high school, have a great job where they earn great money.
Okay.
We need more skilled tradesmen in the United States.
Agreed.
I agree. You know, you said something interesting about how you feel kind of uncomfortable with the fact that legislators go up there and then they say, hey, we did a pretty good job, we'll see you in 2 years. What about, do you think it's time for Nevada maybe not to be a full-time legislature, or should they at least be able to, because I've heard the suggestion, go ahead and have them meet every year, but just take the total amount of time that they would normally spend in a one-time session and spread it out over maybe two halves, so that way they would meet, the legislature would meet every year.
Yeah,
Are
I
you
would
in favor or something like that?
I would be in favor of something like that. I think it would make you be able to act on things faster, right? And not have to call special sessions, which are an additional cost to our taxpayers.
Okay.
How you feel about the Veterans Court program, and what would you do different to strengthen that language in the bill so DAs won't try to interpret it in their own language? How do you kill the interpretation? Make it cut and dry. How do you do that?
I think maybe we need to clean up some of the language in the bill to ensure that justice courts and municipal courts have a right to have veterans court. And I think that's a big deal. And I think that's where the DA took an issue with part of that bill. So I think that's where we need to fix the bill. There's also some problems in the statute as far as like a record being sealed. Because, you know, if you go to veterans court, the goal is that you get through that program and then it gets dismissed. Yeah. And so, but there's also counter statutory language, like where you can't seal DUIs for a certain number of years. I guess so that was one of the DA's problems. I just don't know why they brought that issue up in the way that they did. I think they could have waited till the legislative session to bring that up and change it, instead of filing a case and taking it up to the Supreme Court when the Justice Court and Municipal Court veterans programs were working really well and helping a lot of people.
Right. So what do you have a BDR that you have in mind that you want to bring forth as a freshman legislator?
Yeah, actually there's a BDR specifically on making the process of sealing records easier, not shortening timeframes per se, although some of the timeframes need to be shortened. And just let me give you an example. Let's just say you get a felony possession of a controlled substance. That's a category E felony. That's the lowest felony you can get. Right. You get probation. You're on probation from 1 to 5 years, and then it's still 7 years before you can seal your record. So for that lowest level felony, that person is marked with that scarlet letter, so to speak, for 12 years, which makes it difficult for them to get a job, difficult to reintegrate into society. So some of those things we can change, I think, and I would like to do that through a BDR. But also, right now, it's a very difficult process to seal your records where you have to file in multiple different courts with multiple different city attorneys, and everybody has their own way of doing it. The North Las Vegas Municipal Court does it differently than Henderson Municipal Court, which does it differently than North Las Vegas Justice Court. So I think we could do a one-stop shop through the district court and make it a simpler process for people to do it and less confusing. When I teach that class to average citizens, it's a 72 PowerPoint slide class. It's confusing. By the time you get done, people's eyes are glazed over and they're tired, and it's difficult. I don't think it should be that difficult. I think it should be something that a lay person should be able to understand.
Well, you brought up a very interesting point because you was talking about a controlled substance. What's your view, because it's going to come up in the legislature, on medical marijuana, recreational use marijuana, and drugs in general?
Okay, so let's talk about medical marijuana, right? I think that medical marijuana should be for its properties and to see what we can do about that. And so we have that here in Nevada, right? If the voters vote for the legalization of recreational marijuana, I'm fine with that. I think we can use examples that Colorado and Washington D.C. have used. We can see what's working there and what's not working there and implement that here in Nevada. Okay. And I think that will also create a good tax base to, one, work on education and treatment programs. So I think some of that tax money should go to education and treatment for drug addiction, okay? 2, it should definitely go to education to fix some of the holes in our budgets. And 3, it should go to building our infrastructure here in Nevada. As far as drugs generally, I think that we need to do a better job of treating the problem, right? And so just so you guys know, there's only really a couple options in town if you're not wealthy, right? If you're wealthy, you can go to a lot of places and pay for treatment. But if you're not wealthy, you're looking at West Care, which does an amazing job, but they're overburdened, and Salvation Army, which is overburdened as well. And I think we need to have better options so that we can help people get clean.
But before we end the program, I have a question that concerns the city attorney's position. Would you be willing to support a bill that would make the city attorney's position an elected position instead of an appointed position like how it is right now?
I guess I would ask what's your problem with it being appointed, but I don't have.
I got tons of.
I guess I don't have a position on that either way. It is the way it is now. Mm-hmm. But the DA is elected, so I wouldn't have a problem if the voters wanted to vote on that as well.
Okay. Could you tell the listeners why you want to become a Nevada State legislator and your point of contact?
Okay. So I do want to become a Nevada State legislature because, as I've told you guys already today, I think we can do a better job than what we've been doing. And I'd like to go up there and start changing things for the better, both education-wise, criminal justice-wise, and making Nevada just a better place to live, work, and raise a family. I love meeting voters, and that's my favorite part of this whole process, is knocking on doors and hearing people's hopes and dreams and seeing how I can help them get to where they want to be and being a part of that. Mm-hmm. You can reach me at John at Piro for Assembly. That's PIROFOR Assembly, commonspelling.com. Or you can call me at 702-767-5611. Once again, that's 702-767-5611. Thanks for having me on, fellas.
Thank you. Folks, that's John Piro, who's running for Nevada State Assembly District number 4. And Mr. Piro has been endorsed by Veterans in Politics, so we encourage all folks that know anybody, friends, family members, or if they live there themselves, to cast their vote for John Piro in the upcoming election, which is November 8th, and early voting starts when?
October 27th.
October 22nd. And if you say that I have no time to vote, their booths are the voting booth is open up 14 days in the early voting from 7 to 7. That's 12 hours a day. If you can't find your time to go down to the voting booth and cast your vote, then you know what? Just keep your mouth shut and don't complain about anything.
Amen.
This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas and Troy Warren with Veterans in Politics. Until next week, folks.